My friend Adi Siroya, he hails from Bangalore, India, and is known as a serial social entrepreneur and the co-founder and chief impact officer of rePurpose Global. And you guys have been hearing a little bit about rePurpose Global over the past day. This platform is a leading force in the fight against plastic pollution, making it accessible for individuals and businesses of all sizes worldwide. Prior to rePurpose Global, Adi founded the William Leaf Initiative, a nonprofit focused on creating employment opportunities for individuals with autism. He also established Arogya, which means medicine in Hindi, India's first digital medicine redistribution platform with a goal to reduce medical waste and improve healthcare access. He's just a little bit of an overachiever. Adi's achievements include being recognized as a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, a 2020 World Economic Forum champion for SDG 14, which is life below water, a Helkin Fellow and graduate of the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. He is driven by dual mission, accelerating the transition to resource-efficient circular economy and ensuring dignified livelihoods for workers affected by our consumption habits. In his leisure time, Adi enjoys the company of his energetic Boston Terrier named Maya, who cuddles under the blankets with him, finds solace in comedy while reflecting on global issues, yowza, loves indulging in homemade pizza, and very, very busy planning his sustainable wedding, which is happening at the end of this year in India. Please join me in welcoming our friend Adi Siroya.
Thank you. I hope this is not counted in the timing. Alison was very strict about the time, but I appreciate that. Thank you, first of all, Steffi, for that introduction. It was a lot more generous than I imagined. I appreciate that. If you could raise your hands, who here has had an experience with their pet swallowing something that they weren't supposed to? So this is Maya, and she gave her mother and I a big scare when she one day swallowed a whole plastic tampon on the side of the street. Thankfully, all was okay, but with all the plastic that we've put out into the world, we can't blame our pets, or really any animal for that matter, for thinking that this material that they see everywhere is food. 30% of the plastic that we've ever created has just been dumped into nature. And that's devastated wildlife across the world. Millions of animals die every single year because they just confuse plastic with the food that they eat. But death by direct ingestion is merely the scratching of the surface, because we're still uncovering the health effects of plastic on animals. Microplastics, which are literally everywhere, have been found to harbor antibiotic-resistant bacteria that can cause a lot of infections. And microplastics are also linked to increased cancer in cats and dogs. So how are we doing in this fight against plastic? Planet versus plastic. We surely are making progress, right? Newsflash, we are losing big time. The current business as usual scenario, if we continue to consume at the way that we are, we will triple the amount of plastic leaking into the oceans in the next 15 years. But for me, that's not the depressing part. We like to pat ourselves on the backs when a business or a government announces an initiative. Let's say they've made their packaging recyclable, or they've set a 2030 target for getting to single-use plastic free. But the reality is that even if we add up all of these commitments and assume they are met, which is a big if, because these commitments are often not met, we will only reduce the amount of plastic leaking into oceans by 7%. Let that sink in. The collective ambition that we have today is dwarfed by the scale of the problem. And so the reality is we need to act with a lot more urgency. I grew up in a city called Bangalore in India. Steffi, thank you for getting the pronunciation right. She practiced very hard at that one. And when I was born, it was called the Garden City of India. 18 years or so later, when I left the US, come here to the US for college, it was called the Garbage City of India. The population of the city doubled, but plastic waste generation increased by 500%, meaning that sites like this became common on my trip to school every day. Seeing cats, dogs, even the so-called sacred mother cow that we in India hold so reverely, eating mounds of trash, even burning plastic waste. When I got to the US, I decided to do my honors thesis at college on the topic of plastic pollution to try to understand the nuances of the problem and to build an understanding of the solutions that can actually move the needle. My teammates and I spent 18 months researching this problem as deeply as we could. We spoke to anyone that was willing to speak to us, went anywhere we could to try to understand the problem better. We went into dump sites like this one, where plastic was being openly dumped. And we went to dump sites particularly in regions in the global south, in South and Southeast Asia, because this problem, yes, it's a global one. Once plastic reaches the oceans, it's not India's problem or Canada's problem, it becomes all of our problems. But the regions that contribute plastic waste are skewed. 80% of plastic leaks into the oceans from 1,000 rivers in South and Southeast Asia alone. My country of India is the #1 source of plastic leaking into the oceans. But of course, now I won't get into how all of this plastic from the US is shipped over to these countries to then be dealt with over there, because that's a whole other topic that I don't have the time for. When we were trying to understand this problem, we embedded ourselves into the informal sector, who in these regions are the front lines of defense against plastic waste. The informal sector employs millions of workers who are playing a really crucial environmental role in that they serve as the entry point for recycling really worldwide, but are doing so at immense cost to themselves, working in working conditions like this, which frankly makes me think that this is an occupation that just should not exist in its current form. We spoke to children, we spoke to some of these workers, and they told us how they'd gotten into waste picking as early as when they were 3 or 4 years old. They told us about how they'd gotten addicted to drugs and alcohol by age 8 or 9, because being high was the only way they could deal with being around rotting garbage all day. And these are not isolated stories in India. The reality is that across the world, every single country, we offload the burdens of our consumption onto the bottom of the social pyramid. In the streets of New York, where I just moved to, it's undocumented immigrants who are salvaging through trash to pick out recyclables, recycling cans so that companies can make bold claims like, oh, aluminum is ever infinitely recyclable. And of course, plastic does not just impact the people who are on the front lines dealing with it every day. It's having an impact on all of us, and we're just starting to understand how it is having an impact on health. But I can tell you that having a spoonful of microplastics in each of our brains is probably not a good thing for our health. Now, our research was not just about the dump sites in these other parts of the world. We also wanted to understand the mentality of consumers, because of course consumers play a crucial role, and particularly the mentality of the US consumer. We created a tool to help consumers calculate their plastic use in their day-to-day lives, and we got over 100,000 responses. And through that, got an insight into the psyche of how these consumers were viewing the problem of plastic waste. And the reality is that consumers are simply fed up. Plastic is the #1 environmental issue in the minds of US consumers today, ranking even above climate change. Because there's no simply denying plastic pollution, right? You can't deny that a plastic bag choking a turtle on a beach that you grew up going to is a problem. You simply cannot. Even the producers recognize that. And so consumers are demanding change, and they're holding accountable the brands that they see on the packaging in nature. But they are also, interestingly, rewarding and willing to reward the brands that are taking action and doing the right thing. Plastic pollution can be solved in our lifetime, but we need to recognize that this problem is too massive to wait on any one silver bullet solution. There is no silver bullet solution. That's something we need to recognize. And so when you're thinking about, as your brand is acting on plastic waste, I would urge you to stop thinking, how do I check this box? How do I make my packaging recyclable or compostable without necessarily caring about it getting actually recycled or composted? So I would urge you to stop thinking, check the box, and start thinking much more, how do I try everything, everywhere, all at once to combat this problem? That's why we created rePurpose. Our goal at rePurpose is to make it very easy and practical for businesses to be part of the solution. We've created a simple 4-step framework to help any business take action on plastic waste in a, we think, practical way for their business realities, but also in a way that's actually effective in solving the problem. Number one, we help you measure your plastic use because you don't manage what you don't measure. Number two, with that data, we can drive targeted recommendations for reduction so we can help you achieve longer-term reduction targets. But the reality is reduction is a long-term journey. It's not overnight that you can simply flick a switch and get rid of plastic in your supply chains, and we recognize that. And so we've created a pathway for you to immediately be part of the solution by funding the recovery of plastic waste from nature that we enable through our global network of projects. And finally, we help you tell the story of the impact that we're creating together to engage effectively all stakeholders, consumers, retailers, investors, and even internal employees who want to work in mission-driven companies. Today, we've partnered with over 500 brands from across the world and are so grateful to have the support of the pet industry, with several members of the PSC being part of our fight against plastic waste. And I thought before I end, I'd give a quick shout out to Steffi because Earth Animal has been a huge supporter of the work that we've been doing over the last few years. And I would want to just quick video if we have time.
Hi, I'm Steffi Volo,
this.
Earth Animal's Chief Marketing Officer. For more than 40 years, we've been on a mission to preserve and enhance quality of life for animals, people, and the earth. While sustainability has become a business imperative today, it has been at the heart of our company since the very beginning. And I'm proud to say that today more than 50% of our packaging is made from recyclable and recycled materials. But we know we need to go further. That's why we're committed to making 100% of our packaging recyclable, reusable, or compostable by 2025. And as we work towards that goal, we're taking action today by being certified plastic neutral with rePurpose Global. Through our partnership, we are removing as much plastic from nature as we use in our business.
At rePurpose Global, we're so proud to be a part of Earth Animal's long-standing sustainability
that's too
journey.
fast.
By going plastic neutral, the company is supporting our rePurpose Impact project in Bogota, Colombia. To tackle this issue, Earth Animal is enabling us to remove over 200,000 pounds of plastic waste from nature every single year in Bogota, while supporting the livelihoods of 60 waste workers. Through our Impact project, we're particularly targeting hard-to-recycle, single-use plastic waste streams, such as candy wrappers and takeout boxes, over 95% of which is currently destined for hazardous landfills or the precious natural ecosystem.
And while we work towards our ambitious goals, our partnership enables us to take responsibility for the plastics we use today. And thanks to rePurpose Global's storytelling toolkit, we're also able to better communicate our plastic action journey and educate our customers about Earth Animal's commitment to minimizing its impact on the planet. We know there's a long road ahead, but with partners like rePurpose Global and other like-minded brands, together we can heal Mother.
I'm sorry I was rushing through that, but I know Steffi doesn't like to hear herself talk, so I thought I'd speed through it. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear me out today. I'm so grateful for this sustainability community, and I would love to talk to you more about how your brand can be a part of the plastic solution. So if you're interested, scan this QR code. We can set up some time to talk. Would love to have more collaboration to fight this problem, because it's only together that we can reduce waste, revive lives, and restore nature's balance. Thank you so much.